Bachelor Daisy Kent shares why she moved in with boyfriend. August 12, 2025. Hello everyone, welcome to my channel, Bachelor Nation News fans. Bachelor Daisy Kent reconnected with her college boyfriend after leaving season 28. She made a huge move from California to Las Vegas to be with him. In a new interview, Daisy opened up about why she decided to move in with her boyfriend and what the future holds for them. See Daisy Kent's Bachelor audition tape. Daisy Kent was a fan favorite on Joey Graciadia's season. Like season 25 contestant Abigail Herringer, Daisy also has cochlear implants after losing her hearing. By the time the season finale came, Joey had to choose between Daisy and Kelsey Anderson. But Daisy knew he had already made his choice. Instead of letting him let her down easy, she quit the show. She told him that they both knew he wasn't her person. Earlier this year, Bachelor Nation started releasing audition tapes from some of the more popular contestants on the show's official YouTube. In Daisy Kent's video, she opened up about her health struggles regarding her hearing loss. She said she was ready to open up and find a husband. She reveals why she decided to move in with boyfriend. Daisy Kent obviously didn't find a husband on The Bachelor. However, her stint on reality TV did lead to her reconnecting with her college sweetheart, Thor Herbst. Rumors swirled after her Bachelor exit that she was dating someone, but she didn't confirm the relationship until May 2024. In March 2025, she moved into his custom-built home in Las Vegas, Nevada. During a recent appearance on Gia Giudice's Casual Chaos podcast, Daisy opened up about why she decided to move in with her boyfriend, Thor Herbst. We had a lot of conversations about it, and we were spending all the time we could together anyways. So we'd be doing our work stuff, but then we were together every single weekend. Or if I could work from Vegas, or if he could work from LA, we were always trying to be with each other, the Bachelor alum said. Daisy added, I had a room at his house that was filling up with clothes, and we were like, okay, I think it's time. Daisy Kent shares shocking feature in new home. Daisy Kent had a hand in building her boyfriend's Las Vegas home. She told Gia Giudice that one customized option caught her attention. We have a conjoined bathroom, but we both have our own sinks. Then there's a bath in the middle, and then we have separate toilets, which I like, she said about the unique bathroom design. Moving in together is a huge step toward marriage. Fans shouldn't be surprised at an engagement announcement for Daisy Kent and Thor Herbst sooner rather than later. Separate toilets sound like a great way to keep a marriage
Daisy
strong.
Kent finally spills why she packed her bags for love. The post that broke the internet. The photo seemed innocent enough. Daisy Kent, radiant as ever, standing barefoot in a sunlit kitchen, holding a coffee mug that read, "Home is wherever I'm with you." But fans who had followed her journey on The Bachelor knew it was far more than a cozy lifestyle snap. It was confirmation. In the caption, she finally wrote it. Life's too short not to be where your heart is. Officially moved in, heart. Within minutes, her comment section exploded. Thousands of congratulatory emojis, dozens of "I knew it" remarks, and a fair share of skeptics who demanded, so, who's the lucky guy? The man behind the move. Daisy had kept his identity mostly out of the spotlight, a rarity for a Bachelor Nation favorite. His name was Ryan Carter, a 32-year-old entrepreneur whose idea of romance was making her tea every morning and quietly memorizing her coffee order. They had met not in the dramatic swirl of a rose ceremony, but in the fluorescent calm of an airport terminal. She was headed to Nashville for a charity event. He was flying home from a tech conference. A delayed flight and a shared charging station led to a conversation about music, travel, and, eventually, life beyond the cameras. For Daisy, it was the first time in years she didn't feel like she was being watched by producers, by fans, by critics. Ryan didn't know her as the girl who almost got the final rose. He knew her as Daisy. The decision that changed everything. Moving in wasn't a snap decision. Daisy had always been fiercely independent. After The Bachelor, she'd thrown herself into her nonprofit work and mental health advocacy, determined to build a life that was hers alone. But over months of weekend visits, long-distance calls, and half-packed suitcases, she realized something. She was spending more time thinking about her next flight to see Ryan than anything else. One rainy afternoon in San Diego, she'd been scrolling through rental listings when Ryan called. Ryan, hypothetically, if we lived together, would you still want a separate coffee maker? Daisy, hypothetically, no, I'd use yours. And hypothetically, I'd like to stop living out of a suitcase. Ryan, good, because that's not hypothetical anymore. The backlash no one saw coming. While fans flooded her with love, Daisy wasn't naive. In Bachelor Nation, moving in with someone was practically an engagement announcement. The headlines wrote themselves. Daisy Kent moves in. Is a wedding next? Daisy ditches independence for love. Fans divided over Daisy's big leap. The part that stung most was the second headline. She hadn't ditched anything. She still had her nonprofit, her career goals, her independence. She was just choosing to share her morning coffee with someone she loved. The first morning. On the first morning after the move, Daisy woke to the smell of coffee and the sound of Ryan humming in the kitchen. Sunlight spilled across the living room, catching on the framed photos they'd hung together. Her Bachelor promo shot, discreetly tucked between a goofy Polaroid of them at a pumpkin patch and a candid of Ryan laughing mid-bite at a diner. It was quiet, simple, and perfect. Old ghosts, new fears. Yet living together brought its own set of challenges. Daisy had been hurt before, not just in the public breakup with the Bachelor's lead, but in private relationships that ended with doors slamming instead of closure. Every time Ryan was late answering a text, a whisker of doubt crept in. She told him once over takeout pizza, "Daisy, sometimes I'm scared this will all disappear." Ryan, "Then I'll have to keep proving to you it won't." The secret behind her decision. It wasn't just love that made her pack her bags. During a quiet walk along the beach months earlier, Ryan had asked her a question that stuck in her mind. Where do you feel most at peace? She thought of her hometown in Minnesota. She thought of the bustling cities she'd visited her work. But when she really pictured peace, she saw the way Ryan's shoulders relaxed when he cooked dinner. The way they laughed until they cried at bad reality shows. The way he held her hand without needing to fill the silence. The answer was obvious. Peace wasn't a place. It was a person. A new chapter on her terms. Daisy wanted to make one thing clear to her fans. Moving in didn't mean giving up herself. She posted a follow-up video speaking directly to camera. You can be madly in love and still be your own person. This isn't the end of my story. It's the start of a new chapter. In the background, Ryan could be seen walking by, holding a cat they'd recently adopted. The comment section melted. Bachelor Nation reacts. Former contestants weighed in. Some praised her for following her heart. Others teased her about how domestic she'd become. And then there were the inevitable rumors. Was Ryan planning to propose? Was there already a ring? Daisy just smiled. Let them wonder. The promise. One evening, as they sat on their tiny balcony watching the city lights, Ryan turned to her. Ryan, I can't promise we'll never argue or that life will be perfect. Daisy, I wouldn't believe you if you did. Ryan, but I can promise that wherever you want to go, whatever you want to do, I'll be there. For Daisy, that was all she needed. Over the next 12 months, the story would evolve, from moving boxes to shared traditions, from private struggles to public celebrations. But in every chapter, the reason she moved in stayed the same. Because sometimes home isn't a place you find.
Bachelor
It's
Daisy
a choice you
Kent
make.
shares why she moved in with boyfriend. The whole truth nobody saw coming. From reality TV to real life. For most Bachelor contestants, life after the show follows a familiar path. There's the finale glow, the post-show press tour, the endless Instagram brand deals, and then, slowly, reality sets in. But for Daisy Kent, one of the most talked about women of her season, reality came at her like a freight train. Only it wasn't heartbreak or public scrutiny that caught her off guard. It was love. The kind of love that doesn't just happen in front of cameras and candlelit date setups, but the kind that shows up in the messy, unscripted mornings of everyday life. The Bachelor Nation world still remembered her as the girl who walked away gracefully. Daisy had captured hearts across America with her grounded honesty, her quiet strength, and that smile, the one that seemed to hide 100 untold stories. When she left the mansion without a ring, fans mourned the loss of a fairy tale ending. But Daisy had other plans. And those plans included a man who wasn't the Bachelor at all. The man behind the mystery. Daisy's boyfriend, whose identity she'd carefully shielded from the media for months, wasn't a fellow reality star or a fame-chasing influencer. He was Luke Martin, a 31-year-old physical therapist from Minneapolis, with zero interest in Hollywood, but a quiet confidence that immediately drew Daisy in.
They met in the most un-Bachelor-like setting imaginable, at a small coffee shop in Minnesota, months after the finale aired. Daisy had been meeting a friend for a catch-up when she spotted Luke standing in line, holding a worn leather journal and looking utterly uninterested in the chaos around him. "I don't know why, but he looked like home," Daisy would later admit in an exclusive interview. They struck up a conversation over oat milk lattes, and Luke, oblivious to her national fame, asked her what she did for a living. Instead of telling him about the cameras and roses, Daisy simply said she was working on some personal projects. That honesty, the kind that wasn't filtered through a franchise storyline, became the foundation of what would follow. When the camera stopped rolling. Dating after The Bachelor wasn't easy. Daisy had learned to navigate strangers approaching her in grocery stores, gossip blogs speculating about her love life, and endless DMs from fans begging for updates. With Luke, it was different. They went on hikes without posting a single photo. They cooked together in his small apartment, burning more dinners than they got right. They had nights where they didn't speak a word, just listened to music and read. But as much as Daisy loved this quiet rhythm, the logistics were complicated. She lived nearly 2 hours away in a rental she had picked before she ever met Luke. Between their work schedules and the Minnesota winters that turned every drive into a 2-hour white-knuckle adventure, the constant commuting started to wear on them. "I realized that if we were serious about this, and I was, something had to change," Daisy told Bachelor Nation Daily. The decision that changed everything. It was a Sunday morning in late January when the conversation turned serious. Snow was falling outside Luke's apartment, turning the city into a postcard scene. Daisy was curled up on his couch in one of his oversized sweatshirts when Luke, half joking, asked, "Why don't you just move in already?" They both laughed, but the question hung in the air long after. By that evening, they weren't laughing anymore. They were sitting at his kitchen table with mugs of tea, talking about finances, furniture, and whether Daisy was ready for the kind of commitment that couldn't be edited into a 2-minute segment for TV. "It wasn't romantic in the way you see in movies," Daisy said with a smile. "It was practical, real. We talked about bills, closet space, and my need for at least one drawer for skincare products." Within weeks, the decision was made. Daisy would leave her rental at the end of the lease and move into Luke's place. Fans lose their minds. When Daisy finally shared the news on Instagram, a simple photo of her and Luke carrying a cardboard box into the building with the caption, "New Chapter," Bachelor Nation exploded. Comments flooded in. "This is the real love story we needed. Luke greater than any Bachelor ever. So happy for you, Daisy. You deserve the world." Of course, there were skeptics too. Some accused her of moving too fast. Others demanded she spill every detail of their romance. But Daisy, as always, kept her boundaries. "I've learned to keep the sacred things sacred," she wrote in a follow-up post. Adjusting to shared life. Moving in with a partner is never as simple as it looks in Instagram photos. Daisy quickly learned that Luke had very strong opinions about the right way to load a dishwasher. Luke, in turn, learned that Daisy had a deep emotional attachment to throw pillows, lots of them. The first week, they argued about where to put the coffee maker. The second week, they stayed up until 2 a.m. rearranging furniture. By the third week, they found themselves laughing in the middle of the chaos, realizing that the arguments were just another way of figuring out how to merge 2 lives into one. Why she really did it. In a sit-down interview months later, Daisy finally shared the full truth. It wasn't about convenience, though that was part of it. It wasn't about saving money or making it easier to see each other. It was about choosing him, fully without hesitation. I'd spent years putting parts of my life on hold, waiting for the perfect timing or the perfect situation. This time, I didn't want to wait. I wanted to show up for someone I loved every single day. Happily unscripted. Today, Daisy and Luke's life together is nothing like a Bachelor finale, and that's exactly how they like it. There are no roses at breakfast, no dramatic eliminations, no fantasy suites. Just 2 people who make each other coffee in the mornings and share quiet dinners at night. Daisy still posts updates, but they're small glimpses. A blurry photo of their dog on the couch, a clip of Luke trying to flip pancakes, a sunset from their balcony. For fans, it might not be the high drama they're used to, but for Daisy, it's everything. The lesson in Daisy's story. Daisy Kent's move wasn't just about changing her address. It was about rejecting the idea that love has to be flashy to be real. It was about finding joy in the untelevised moments. And maybe, just maybe, that's the kind of love story Bachelor Nation needs the most.